when 6 words shut down an entire airport, sorry sir. But medals don't buy first-class seats. 9 minutes after saying those words, the gate agent watches in absolute horror as federal agents order every single plane at Denver International Airport to stop moving. The phone of the man she just humiliated won't stop buzzing with calls coming directly from the Pentagon. What on earth just happened? Let me tell you about Colonel Robert Nash and how one arrogant sentence brought an entire airport to its knees. Right. Imagine you're stood in Denver International Airport on a random Tuesday afternoon. The usual chaos. Yeah. People rushing about, dragging suitcases, staring at departure boards with that glazed look we all get after too many delays. Nobody's paying attention to anyone else because everyone's in their own little bubble of travel stress. But there's this one bloke walking through the terminal who's different. He's not rushing. He's not stressed. Colonel Robert Nash, 52 years old, moves with this calm, measured confidence that only comes from leading men through hell and bringing them back alive. His dress uniform is absolutely spotless. Every ribbon, every medal, positioned with military precision. And then there's the thing that makes people stop and stare. A light blue ribbon with white stars hanging round his neck. The Medal of Honor. The highest military decoration you can receive. It's not something they hand out like party favors, is it? This is earned with blood, sacrifice, and the kind of courage most of us can't even imagine. Bobby, as his mates call him, is heading to Gate 47 for his 3:15 flight to Washington. But this isn't a jolly holiday trip. He's going to Arlington National Cemetery for the funeral of his former platoon sergeant, a man who saved Bobby's life in Iraq 18 years ago. The ceremony starts at 8 tomorrow morning, and this is the last flight that gets him there on time. Now, here's where it gets important. Bobby booked first class, not because he's flash or thinks he's better than everyone else. He needs those extra few hours of rest before facing his fallen brother as widow and 3 young kids. Flying economy means arriving knackered and emotionally unprepared for one of the hardest days of his military career. Some things are worth the money, and honoring fallen soldiers is right at the top of that list. The airport crowd moves with typical urgency. Everyone's speed-walking, checking watches, looking stressed. But Bobby walks at his own pace. Combat taught him that rushing leads to mistakes, and mistakes get people killed. He's learned that lesson the hard way. Bobby Nash, enlisted as an 18-year-old private from rural Montana, driven by small-town values and a family tradition of military service. 28 years later, he's got eagles on his shoulders and commands respect from generals. But he still remembers what it felt like to be terrified and far from home. The Medal of Honor came from a firefight in Fallujah in 2006. Bobby S. platoon walked straight into an ambush that killed 3 men in the first 30 seconds. Pinned down by machine gun fire, Bobby made 7 trips across open ground to pull wounded soldiers to safety. The official citation reads like something from a Hollywood film, but Bobby remembers it as the longest 20 minutes of his entire life. Sergeant First Class Marcus Williams covered Bobby's 6th rescue run, taking bullets that were meant for his commanding officer. Marcus survived that day, but never fully recovered from his injuries. He spent 12 years battling phantom pain, PTSD, and a veteran's system that moved too slowly to save him from himself. Tomorrow's funeral will be Bobby S.'s last chance to say goodbye to the man who made his heroism possible. Bobby approaches Gate 47 with the patience of someone who's dealt with bureaucracy his entire career. The gate agent, Jennifer Walsh, looks up from her computer screen with that practiced indifference of someone who has denied boarding to thousands of travelers. At 26 years old, she has worked for the airline for 3 years and takes proper pride in following company policy. Without exception, the power to make or break someone as travel plans gives her a sense of control she lacks everywhere else in her life. "Sir, I'm going to need you to step aside," Jennifer announces. As Bobby approaches, "Your reservation's been flagged for review." Bobby presents his boarding pass and military ID with calm professionalism. "Ma'am, I have a confirmed first-class seat on Flight 1847 to Washington. Is there a problem with my documentation?" Jennifer barely glances at his credentials before shaking her head. "Sir, it appears your military discount doesn't cover the full cost of first-class service. You'll need to pay the difference or accept reassignment to economy." What? The statement makes absolutely no sense. Bobby paid full price for his ticket. No discount applied. But Jennifer's already decided this uniformed soldier is trying to game the system, probably hoping his medals will intimidate her into special treatment. Ma'am, I paid the full first-class fare 3 weeks ago. There's no military discount on this reservation, Bobby explains with that quiet authority that once moved entire battalions. Jennifer's voice takes on that condescending tone she reserves for difficult passengers. Sir, I understand you're upset, but our policy is clear. Military personnel don't get automatic upgrades regardless of their decorations. Did you catch that? Regardless of their decorations? Like the Medal of Honor is just some shiny accessory with no real meaning. Other passengers start gathering round the gate counter, sensing drama unfolding. Some pull out their phones to record what looks like a dispute between an airline employee and a decorated veteran. Bubby keeps his focus on Jennifer. I'm not requesting an upgrade. I purchased this seat at full price and have the receipt to prove it. Jennifer doesn't even ask to see the receipt. Her next words will become the most expensive ones she ever says. Sorry, sir, but medals don't buy first-class seats. You can take economy or find another flight. The gate door closes with a hydraulic hiss as Flight 1847 pushes back from the terminal, carrying Bobby's empty first-class seat toward Washington. Bobby watches his flight disappear beyond the terminal windows, feeling that familiar tightness in his chest that's got nothing to do with altitude. The same sensation came over him in Iraq when plans fell apart and good men paid the price for other people's mistakes. He thinks about Marcus Williams lying in a flag-draped coffin, waiting for brothers who might not make it to his funeral because an airline employee decided medals do yet matter. The irony stings worse than shrapnel. Bobby survived machine gun fire and mortar attacks, only to be defeated by bureaucratic indifference. The Medal of Honor around his neck suddenly feels heavier, not because of its physical weight, but because of what it represents. 18 years ago, Bobby risked everything to bring his soldiers home alive. Today, he can't even get himself to a funeral to honor one of those same soldiers. His phone buzzes with a text from Marcus's widow. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Colonel. Marcus always said you'd move heaven and earth for your men. Bobby stares at the message, knowing he is about to disappoint a Gold Star family because someone decided his service record was unworth respecting. But Bobby Nash didn't become a colonel by giving up when obstacles appeared. He pulls out his phone and scrolls through his contacts, stopping at a number he hasn't called in 2 years. Some situations require going through proper channels. Others require calling people who outrank airline policies. The phone rings twice before a familiar voice answers with crisp, military precision. He thinks about Marcus Williams lying in a flag-draped coffin, waiting for brothers who might not make it to his funeral because an airline employee decided medals do yet matter. The irony stings worse than shrapnel. Bobby survived machine gun fire and mortar attacks, only to be defeated by bureaucratic indifference. The Medal of Honor around his neck suddenly feels heavier, not because of its physical weight, but because of what it represents. 18 years ago, Bobby risked everything to bring his soldiers home alive. Today, he can't even get himself to a funeral to honor one of those same soldiers. His phone buzzes with a text from Marcus's widow. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Colonel. Marcus always said you'd move heaven and earth for your men. Bobby stares at the message, knowing he is about to disappoint a Gold Star family because someone decided his service record was unworth respecting. But Bobby Nash didn't become a colonel by giving up when obstacles appeared. He pulls out his phone and scrolls through his contacts, stopping at a number he hasn't called in 2 years. Some situations require going through proper channels. Others require calling people who outrank airline policies. The phone rings twice before a familiar voice answers with crisp military precision. General Patricia Okins, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, answers her secure line from the Pentagon with characteristic directness. Bobby Nash, she says, recognizing his number. What's your situation? Ma'am, I'm stranded at Denver International Airport. An airline employee has denied me boarding for a paid first-class seat, and I'm going to miss Sergeant Williams's funeral tomorrow. The line goes quiet for several seconds. General Hawkins served as Bobby S. Battalion commander in Iraq and was present when he earned the Medal of Honor. She also knew Marcus Williams personally, having pinned the Purple Heart on his chest in a field hospital 18 years ago. Colonel, Colonel, are you telling me that someone is preventing a Medal of Honor recipient from attending a fallen soldier's funeral? Yes, ma'am. The gate agent claims my military status doesn't qualify me for the seat I purchased. General Hawkins doesn't need any additional details. Stand by, Colonel. This situation is about to change. Bobby ends the call and notices Jennifer watching him with growing unease. Her confidence wavers as she realizes this decorated colonel might have connections beyond her authority level. 8 minutes pass in intense silence. Other passengers sense something significant happening, but can't identify exactly what. The normal airport announcements continue, but there's an underlying current of anticipation. At exactly 4:03 p.m., every departure screen in Denver International Airport flashes the same message. All aircraft movements suspended by federal order. Remain in terminal until further notice. Jennifer's computer terminal chimes with an emergency notification from airline headquarters. Her face goes absolutely white as she reads the message twice, then looks up at Bobby with dawning recognition of how badly she's miscalculated this situation. Through the terminal windows, black SUVs with government plates raced across the tarmac toward their gate. Air traffic control towers light up with radio chatter as federal agents coordinate the airport shutdown. Passengers begin gathering round departure monitors, confused by the unprecedented suspension of all flight operations. Jennifer's supervisor appears at the gate counter, moving faster than anyone's seen her move in years. Behind her, two blokes in dark suits display federal credentials to airport security personnel. The power dynamic has shifted completely, and everyone at Gate 47 knows it. The federal agents approach Jennifer's counter with methodical precision of people accustomed to resolving situations that have escalated beyond local authority. Ms. Walsh, Agent Rebecca Martinez from the Department of Homeland Security, displays her credentials. We need to discuss your interaction with Colonel Nash immediately. Jennifer stammers through an explanation that sounds increasingly weak under federal scrutiny. Her company policy defense crumbles when agents produce Bobby's original reservation showing full payment for first-class service. The billing discrepancy she claimed existed was entirely fictional, created to justify denying boarding to someone she decided didn't deserve special treatment. Within 30 minutes, the airline's regional manager arrives from corporate headquarters carrying authorization to resolve any issue necessary to end the federal investigation. The airline faces potential violations of federal transportation regulations, discrimination complaints, and a public relations nightmare that could cost millions in lost revenue. Colonel Nash, the manager addresses Bobby with obvious nervousness. Please accept our sincerest apologies for this unacceptable treatment. We immediately reinstating your original reservation and providing complimentary first-class service for life. As compensation for this incident, Bobby's response surprises everyone present. Sir, I don't want free flights. I want assurance that no other service member will face this kind of disrespect whilst traveling to honor fallen comrades. The manager nods rapidly, already calculating damage control strategies. Absolutely, Colonel. We're implementing immediate policy changes and mandatory respect training for all customer service personnel. Jennifer. Walsh clears out her desk 30 minutes later. Her airline career ended by 6 words that revealed her true character. The social media video of her interaction with Bobby has already gone viral, turning her into a symbol of institutional disrespect for military service. Flight 1847 returns to the gate under federal escort, and Bobby boards the aircraft to scattered applause from passengers who witnessed his dignified handling of systematic discrimination. The next morning, Bobby Nash stands at attention in Arlington National Cemetery as honor guard members fold the American flag that covered Marcus Williams' coffin. The ceremony proceeds with military precision, but Bobby's thoughts drift to the previous day's events and what they revealed about civilian understanding of military sacrifice. Marcus's widow approaches after the ceremony, tears in her eyes but strength in her voice. Colonel Nash, Marcus always said you'd move heaven and earth for your soldiers. Yesterday proved he was right. Bobby accepts the folded flag presented by Marcus's children, knowing that some battles continue long after war's end. The fight for respect, recognition, and basic human dignity never stops, requiring vigilance from those who've sworn to defend values. The airline incident exposed a deeper truth about the gap between civilian and military worlds. Most people support the troops in abstract terms, but do you and T always translate that support into concrete actions when it matters? Jennifer Walsh learned that medals do matter, Not because they grant special privileges, but because they represent sacrifice most people can't comprehend. The Medal of Honor around Bobby's neck isn't jewelry. It's a reminder that some people pay prices others never will. Service doesn't end with retirement. Neither does the obligation to stand up for fellow veterans when the system fails them. Sometimes moving heaven and earth requires nothing more than making the right phone call to the right person. Honor isn't about what you've done. It's about what you're still willing to do. If this story's moved you like it's moved me, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs reminding that respect is optional when it comes to those who served. Subscribe for more stories that honor those who gave everything when it mattered most. These are the stories that remind us freedom has a price, and some are still paying it long after they've hung up the uniform. Cheers for watching, and remember, always honor those who serve, not just with words, but with actions.